coming at you with well, hopefully short and sweet analysis of the newly reprinted cards for our beloved Base Neo format. Now, you see, the thing is that this is a first time event. We've never seen anything like this before. That we would get actual reprints of cards that were printed in the Wizards of the Coast era. All over the 25th celebration cards, we actually got 10 cards that can be played in Base Neo. So what I'd like to do is go through the cards individually and just kind of have a bit of a dialogue about what this means to the players. And those of you who follow my channel, you will know that I'm not playing Base Neo to collect. I'm in Base Neo to play the game. So obviously having access to some of these cards will be quite important for people who may not have had a chance to get into Base Neo because of, well, the clear scarcity and even more importantly probably the price tag of quite a few of these cards. So let's start with looking at Birthday Pikachu, which is our first card here. It originally was released as a promo and of course also reprinted as promo number 24. It's not a good card. It doesn't see any play, but it is of course a celebration card. So it's got a 2 lightning energy attack, birthday surprise. If it's not your birthday, this attack does 30 damage. If it is your birthday, flip a coin. If this attack does 30 damage plus 50 more damage. If tails, this attack does 30 damage. So it is a playable Pikachu, don't get me wrong, but it's more in there for funs. Obviously, it's Pokemon's birthday celebration. Naturally, they're going to reprint the Birthday Pikachu card. Our first big boy, and a card that I actually have picked up a few copies of, is Blastoise. Now, when we look at Blastoise, Charizard, and any other cards that were released in the base set, they have used the original base set text on these cards, so not the base set 2 text. For those of you who may not have realized this, they have reworded some of these cards for base set 2. But again, as I said, here we're getting the OG base set card effect descriptions. So Blastoise, immediately I'm thinking Blastoise. Ever since I was a little kid playing Pokemon, I always wanted a Blastoise deck. And Blastoise is still viable in the base Neo format. The fact that we can just dump as many water energies onto our water type Pokemon is absolutely massive. It just absolutely laughs in the face of any energy removal decks. It just makes that an absolutely viable deck. In fact, the most pure base Neo Blastoise deck pretty much runs 4 Squirtle, 1 Wartortle, 3 Blastoise, of course 4 Pokemon breeders, and maybe a baby Pokemon, well, obviously 4 Cleffa, and maybe another baby Pokemon or 2 like Igglybuff to maybe cover some Pokemon powers our opponent may have. So being able to Hydro Pump for a maximum of 60 is pretty cool. With a plus power we can make that a 70 in case we come up against maybe more of a Haymaker style deck. And of course the reprint, from all intents and purposes, I think it can be used in the base jungle format as well. Why not? The more people have access to some of these cards, the better. My playgroup certainly absolutely happy to welcome these reprints. So Blastoise, really cool reprint, very nice to see it. Next up we got Charizard, the collector's dream, of course, base set, shadowless, mint condition Charizard, send it for grading and all that. But for a player, the base set Charizard is not a particularly good card. The only positive about this Charizard, but that's there. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. Being able to fire spin for 100 is always going to be cool, but realistically, the discard 2 energy cards attached to Charizard is, of course, a big drawback. Now, we might be able to get away with using 2 double colorless energies, turn them into fire energies with energy burn, but then we will have to discard both of those. So we can have like maybe 1, 2 big push damage out of this Charizard if we can set it up in 2 turns. But realistically, most people who want to play Charizard, they won't necessarily play it because they know that the deck's gonna win. They're gonna play it because playing Charizard is still fucking cool. It's really cool to see a reprint. If you never had a chance to actually own a Charizard, the original artwork, the first ever print, then this reprint certainly, if nothing else, can bring you down memory lane. Our fourth card, and this is maybe one of the most important reprints, is Cleffa from Neo Genesis. Cleffa is the defining card for the base Neo format. Simply put, if you want a deck to function in the base Neo format, you're pretty much going to need a playset of Cleffas in that deck. The card's colorless, so you're not gonna have a problem getting it to fit any particular decks. All the baby Pokemon have a 1 colorless energy attack anyway, or if in case of Elekid, obviously Elekid has a Pokemon power instead of an attack. But the free retreat cost, no weakness, no resistance in all the babies, and the fact that Cleffa can shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 7 cards, just completely negates the potential bad effects of getting last, or getting the old imposter Professor Oak's revenge, and then the Team Rocket trap combo. I'm not sure if it's Team Rocket trap, I can't remember off the back of my hand. But anyway, having a reprint of Cleffa, a card that previously was, when I picked up my playset, it was about 10 to 12 pounds each, so like $15 to $18 each. Now you can get a Cleffa for about £3, £3.50, so about $5. And kind of like the same story goes for Blastoise as well. If you were trying to get a Blastoise, you probably were looking at roughly £200 for a playset. Now you can pick up a Blastoise for about 12 to 15 pounds. That's booster fresh, so about $20 max. That's obviously might be different on the US eBay market. I'm just really using kind of like the numbers I've paid the past week. So having a Cleffa reprint is amazing. It is by far the biggest thing that base Neo got, since the last expansion. Dark Gyarados, it's a cool card. It's not really seeing a bunch of play. The Final Beam Pokemon power is really cool. Being able to potentially deal 20 damage for each water energy attached to Dark Gyarados when it's knocked out, but it still depends on a coin flip. It can be a nice alternative to have if you want to just have it as a potentially heavy hitter in the deck when you use a base set Gyarados, and then you want to have just a Dark Gyarados. Ice Beam is alright, but it's a bit overcosted for 30 damage and a potential paralyze, so it's nice to have. I would say the artwork though, I think they picked the right card from the Team Rocket expansion. Gyarados has a really cool artwork from that set. Moving on, we did get a couple of trainers as well. We got Here Comes Team Rocket, which was one of the first available in foil trainer cards printed in the game. Each player plays with his or her prize cards face up for the rest of the game. It actually has a couple of good potentials. I'm not saying that it is a necessity in every deck, but in those decks where we might not want to run too many of the same Pokemon, same copies of cards, to be able to pick and choose what prize you want to pick up, Here Comes Team Rocket is pretty much one of the only options. There's a few more like Mankey. The Jungle Mankey allows us to maybe look at one, I think, or swap maybe one with our top deck. Not actually sure if that allows us to look at it, but there are maybe a card or two that allows us some Misty's. What's it called? Misty's favor. Misty's plea or something like that. That both players can swap a prize card with a card from their hand. I don't know. Here Comes Team Rocket is the definitive card if you want to see what's in your prizes. And there are decks where it matters. Here Comes Team Rocket is a welcome reprint. Our next trainer, Imposter Professor Oak. I kind of wish we got Imposter Oak's Revenge. Because even though Imposter Professor Oak is, or was, a deck that was sometimes utilized in certain decks where the player was trying to deck out the opponent, I think Prof Oak's Revenge combos with more cards, and then the fact that you have to discard a card from your hand can actually be useful for many decks in the base Neo format. So I would say for Imposter Professor Oak to have a reprint, meh, whatever. As we move ever along, we get to the final 3 reprints. Another fantastic reprint is Rocket Zapdos. The Plasma attack is the best 1 energy attack that deals 20 damage, and then it also attaches a lightning energy back onto Rocket Zapdos from your discard pile. Extremely resilient against energy removals. And if you can get a Defender or a Metal Energy onto Rocket Zapdos, you will be able to significantly reduce the self-damage that you would get from Electro Burn. So, fantastic card. One of the first cards I've picked up when I started to get seriously into playing base Neo. And I have a deck for Rocket Zapdos. The only problem with Rocket Zapdos in the base Neo format is that I would rather take Plasma hit 30. Because you can still obviously get energies back from your discard. If it just hit a blank 30, then with the 1 coin flip you can take care of babies. That 20 damage is just not quite there to get it into baby 1 KO territory. Before Neo Genesis came out, Rocket Zapdos has redefined the game. I mean, it's just a straight up better card than Hitmonchan, and Hitmonchan was a staple, the baseline 70 HP basic with a 1 energy 20 damage attack. So yeah, obviously this is power creep in the making, as they say. It's really cool we got a Shining Pokemon reprint as well, and actually one of, if not the the one and only useful Shining Pokemon, Shining Magikarp. Even Shining Magikarp isn't exactly great, but its Dragon Bond attack can be useful. I don't think Gold Scale is particularly good because we can't influence whether our opponent wants to draw 2 cards or not. Sometimes it will be beneficial for them, sometimes it will be not beneficial for them, so they can just decline to do it. And then we can draw 2 cards as well. I mean, it's not the worst attack, it's still extra cards into our hands, but I think the price of giving our opponent a choice whether they want to draw or not is definitely pulling this card back. But that's the case with all the Shining Pokemon. They're obviously collector's items more than anything else. A Dragon Bond attack is very good though, but oh my god, why is it a psychic energy? If it was a water energy and Gold Scale was a psychic energy, that would have made a lot more sense. If you think about Dark Golduck's attacks, particularly the one where you discard a card and draw 3 cards, it would have made sense to make Dragon Bond more of a water type and make gold scale psychic, but I digress. Anyway, it's cool to see a reprint. Will it see much play in base Neo? Probably not. And then our final big boy, Venusaur, which I'm also extremely happy to see a reprint of. Both Venusaur and Blastoise are amazing for base Neo players to be able to have a cheap access to, for obviously for the time being, because obviously these cards will go up in price as well. Unfortunately, that's just how the trading card market is. However, Venusaur, well, if you haven't heard of the Venus Center deck yet, then you should go and look it up. Jason Klasinski's blog is an excellent source, and everybody references to it. I will do the same. I bow down to that blog spot. It's amazing to have access to it. Go and check out the Venus Center deck. It's really cool. The energy trance will allow you to just throw around all your grass energies, and you can just Pokemon Center your Pokemon without losing any grass energy. And you know what? That Solar Beam is also not the worst attack. I mean, 60 is a big chunk of damage for 4 grass energy. If you want to go super spicy and you think your deck can carry 2 stage 2 evolutions, hint hint, it probably won't, but if you do want to do that, then you can include Meganium, the one that has the Pokemon power to change every grass energy to double grass energy. It's a really good combo, but in base Neo you will struggle to pull off 2 stage 2s. Nevertheless, getting Venusaur reprinted, absolutely amazing. So for those of you who have maybe picked up a card or two, you will have noticed the extremely special foiling that they've put on these cards as well. So the reason why I talk about the foiling is because this is the first time that we see a foil Cleffa. This is the first time we see a birthday Pikachu in foil. The first time we see an imposter Professor Oak in foil. And that's just amazing to have, these cards. The other cards they have seen a foil release. Nevertheless, the foiling is different to the ones that we would have gotten, 20 plus years ago. So really cool foiling. It's actually a full card foil with particular emphasis on the artwork itself, but the whole card just looks absolutely amazing. So I went along, I picked up 4 Cleffas, I picked up 3 Blastoise, and that's basically just going to really help me to have 2 decks. I got 1 playset of Cleffas, now I got a playset of the Celebrations Cleffas, and I will be finally able to build that Blastoise deck I wanted since I was 13. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in for this little base Neo update. The impact of these cards coming into our beloved game is amazing. I hope that you guys will potentially look in picking up some of these cards, put them in good use. I'm sure that your playgroups will have absolutely no issues running these cards, particularly if you take into account that playgroups will allow to play the translated vending machine cards, they will allow to play the Japanese prints, they will allow to play the Korokoro promos, so nowadays pretty much everything goes. Pick these up, play with them, amazing stuff. Up until next time, guys, Bust Saiyan, signing out.